right? Both are hemming stitch only. Cat stitch and hemming stitch, both are hemming stitch only. But the one that we generally call as hemming stitch or hemming is used for woven clothes. Is used in the neckline, sleeve, or hem regions of woven clothes, whereas cap stitch is used in knitted garments. Okay, so another, if you are having your textbook with you, then you can see the next thing is overcast stitch. Okay, overcast stitch. So overcast stitch is having a similar property like blanket stitch. Okay. So for what purpose we are using blanket stitch? What is the purpose or what is the use of blanket stitch?
To stop from the clothes fraying.
Yes, fraying, right? It will prevent the clothes from fraying out, right? So overcast stitch is also having same property or same function. Okay, so overcast stitch is kind of different from a simpler version of blanket stitch. We can just call it a simpler version of blanket stitch because blanket stitch is a kind of complicated, but overcast stitch is kind of a simplified version, and it is also having the same function. Okay, so overcast stitch is done on the edge area of a fabric to prevent it from raveling off or fraying. So that is the use of overcast stitch. Okay, so as you can see in the image, it's just as simple as that. Okay, it is as simple as that. So when it comes to hemming stitch, the stitch comes diagonally, right? The stitch comes diagonally, but on the right side of the fabric, a very minute point will be visible. But in this case, it will not be like that. Okay, so just give me. So I hope you can see the board, right? The board is visible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the edge. Okay, consider. Suppose this is the edge of a particular fabric. Okay, this black line, it's the edge of a particular fabric. Okay. Now, the way I'm going to show how this overcast stitch will appear, or how we do this overcast stitch on the edge of a fabric in order to prevent it from fraying off or raveling out. Okay. So this is how it will be. Okay. So here we can, here I have showed the front view and back stitch, front stitch and back stitch. Okay. Now I will show you how the stitch will appear on one side. Okay. Are you getting it? No.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you got it, right?
Ma'am,
I know it's kind of difficult to understand. Yes, Nimita?
isn't it similar to hemming stitch?
Yes, that's what I told you. It's similar to hemming stitch, how it appears. But in this case, the other side will also look the same only. Okay. So instead of stitching like this, if this is the fabric, okay, if this is the fabric, in general cases, and if this is the needle, in general cases, we will be stitching like this, right? Horizontally. But in this case, we will be taking the needle through here and we will be taking it through the upper side. And we will be again taking it like this and we will be taking it through the upper part of the fabric, that is through the edge of the fabric, not horizontally, but vertically. Okay, so that we can just protect the side or edge of the fabric from fraying off. Okay, so generally we stitch like this, right? With the hand sewing needle, we stitch like this, but instead we will be stitching like this. Okay, so that is what overcast stitches. The basic function of this or purpose of this stitch is to protect the fabric from fraying off or raveling out. So that is what it is used for. And the next stitch that we are going to learn is slip stitch. So what is the speciality of slip stitch? What is the speciality of slip stitch? What is the speciality? How it is different from all the stitches that we learned till this point? What is the speciality of slip stitch? We can say slip stitch is nearly invisible. You might have came across this slip stitch in few of those DIY videos. How you can, size down your waist, your jeans waist, how you can just prevent those hole from seeing off. So maybe you might have seen those, this particular type of stitch in those DIY videos. I don't know whether you have or not. So we will just watch a video which clearly explains how to do a slip stitch or what a slip stitch is and how it is done. Okay. Okay. Tacking is to lock the stitch. Okay. Tacking is to lock the stitch. So just think about those, machines. So you are going to sew a machine. Okay, you are going to stitch using a sewing machine. Okay. So if we are doing a hand stitching, then we will be tying a knot at the very end of the thread, right? Which we are going to use to stitch, right? We will be tying a knot at the very end. But is it possible when it comes to, machine sewing or machine stitching? No, the thread will be left free, right? So once the stitching is done, we can just easily pull off the thread, right? If it is not secure, we can just easily pull off the thread, right? We can just easily remove the stitch. So in order to safely secure our stitch, whether it is a hand sewing, whether it is machine sewing, whatever it is, in order to secure the stitching, we will do tacks. So in machine, we will be doing back tacking. There is a facility which is available in sewing machine for that purpose. But in hand sewing also, we do tacks to secure what? What is the purpose of tacks? To secure the stitch, right? We are, until and unless it's a, that basting stitch, we do need that stitch, right? If it is basting, we just want to mark our line, or we just want our fabric to be kept together so that it will not slip off while stitching. Until and unless it is not a basting stitch, we do that it on our fabric. So we would like to secure that one. So that is what a tack stitch is. So here I do have a video of tack stitch. Just check the side of your garment. You will get to see a stitch over there. Just check the side of your garment. There is a stitch, right? This side, just this side. There is a stitch, right? So that is a side seam. Okay, that is the side seam. That's stitching. So front piece and back piece is being joined together in your side, right? So that is your side seam. It shouldn't come forward, it shouldn't move backward. It should be perfectly below your armhole on your side seam. Okay, so that is your side seam. Okay, then if you are wearing a garment with a sleeve, then there will be a joining part below your hand region. Okay, this region. So there will be another seam or another stitch. That is also a kind of seam. Okay. On your armhole region, there will be another seam where we join our sleeve to this body, torso part. So there is another seam. Is our neckline a seam? Is it a seam? No, it's not a seam. Okay, it's not a seam. Is the hem region a seam? Hem means bottom of your garment, the very end of your garment. Is that a seam? No, that's not a seam. Okay. Seam is basically when we join two or more fabrics together. Okay. When it comes to neck, we just finish it with a facing, right? We just finish it with a facing. But when it comes to side seam, we are joining front part and back part, right? When it comes to the sleeve also, we are joining two sides. When it comes to the shoulder or armhole region, we are attaching a sleeve onto our torso. Am I right? Okay. Now, what I want you guys to do is that if it is possible, just go and get a men's shirt. Okay, if it is available there in your house, please just go and get one men's shirt. Okay, one men's shirt, one jeans, one kurti. Okay, just go and get it. These three things. Let's just analyze it now. Let's just check, go through all the three garments that is there in your hands. Okay, so just analyze it and just let me know what all differences you got to find. Okay, maybe there will be one, maybe there will be more than one. Okay, You don't have to tell me which type of seam it is. Okay, no worries. You just need to find out whether all the seams are same or whether they are different. Okay, no need to find out what kind of seam it is or seam finish it is. We can just call it seam finish. Actually, those are seam finishes. How to finish off a seam. Okay, so those are seam finishes. So just tell me whether they are same, the ones that you sew on a pair of jeans, those on a men's shirt, and those on a kurti, salwar kurti or whatever it is. Are they all same? Just tell me what you found. Okay, just tell me what you found. Sometimes they all will be same. They will not just actually use all those variants. Okay, but actually they are supposed to be different. Yes. Yes, dear. So I will just ask you one by one. Yes, Devi Krishna.
They are different.
Sorry?
They are different.
They are different, right? The type of seam that you found in a men's shirt and the pair of jeans will be similar to each other, right? The outer seam, the outer side seam of your jeans and the sleeve seam of your shirt and side seam of a men's shirt, men's formal shirt will be similar to each other. They are called flat felt seam. We will be discussing all these things, seam finishes in detail later. Okay, so now we will be just talking about the differences. So yes, both of them are kind of similar, right? What about a kurti?
It is having elements.
It's just simple, right? What, Devi
It is
Krishna?
having seam elements.
Seam, sorry,
Seam elements.
not seam 11, seam, the side stitch. So how the stitch appears in the outside. So the one in a shirt and a jeans will be kind of similar. So let me just check the one I'm wearing right now. Yes, it's kind of different, right? From the stitch or the seam that is found on your shirt. Just check the side seam. You just don't have to check the inner part of your shirt. Just take the shirt, sleeve or whatever it is, or the side seam. So just check how it looks. Okay, just check the side seam of your jeans. Just check the side seam of your men's shirt, men's formal shirt, and also just check the side seam of your kurti. Okay, and just tell me whether it looks same or not. Are they different or are they same? That is what you're supposed to do. The inside part will mostly look similar on you, right? When it comes to jeans and all, it do looks different. So I don't know whether the samples that you are having right now with you are similar to what I'm expecting. So I will just show you an image. Okay. So I will just show you two images. So here you are seeing one image, right? A button is being attached to a label, and then you can see a side seam, right? Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, here you can see a side seam where two different fabrics is being joined together. So that is one side seam, or a seam finish. Is it similar to the type of seam finish or the seam? Yes, unless you are having that there, right? Yes, exactly. It is similar to that one. Is it similar to the seam finish that you can find in your kurti or salwar? Is it similar to the ones that we can find there? No, right? It's different. So the type of seam or seam finish is just a plain seam. When it comes to kurti, it's just a plain seam. But when it comes to shirt, it's flat fell seam. Okay. When it comes to jeans also, the side seam of a jeans also, it's similar to the one on your shirt. Okay. So different types of seam finishes are there. So these are examples for that. So what about seams? And other seams are like, if you just check your structure, whatever you're wearing right now. So just check whatever you're wearing right now. So your armhole, is it flat? Is it a straight line? Your armhole, is it a straight line? No, it's a curve, right? It's a curve. Now just let me pose. Side seam, side. It's a flat, right? And sometimes it's a bit curvy, but we can just call it flat, right? Or a straight seam. So if you have ever stitched or tried to stitch a particular garment, you might have came across these things that I'm going to explain. Okay. So if it is a straight seam, we can just leave it like that. Okay. If it is a straight seam or the side seam of your kurti, we can just leave it like that. There will be no cut, there will no need to cut or anything. But when it comes to a curve, is it that easy to stitch a curve or to get a perfect curve? No. Okay, it's not that easy. It's kind of easy only, but we should know the trick. Like while cooking, if we came to add more salt or more spice, we can just balance it with if it is salt, we can just balance it with a little bit of sugar, or if it is red chili powder, we can just balance it with a little bit of lemon juice. So like that. So if you should know the trick to balance it, right? If you don't know these tips, then whatever you are cooking, if it is a biryani, if it is just a simple curry also, then that's gone, spoiled, right? Once I was cooking a egg roast, okay? So just like this, I added a lot of tomato into it, okay? So I really love tomato. I ended up adding a lot. And it literally ended tasting like a fish curry. Not fish curry, a fish gravy with an egg in it. It literally ended up tasting like that. I can't even forget about how it tasted, because it literally tasted like a fish curry. I don't know how I ended up making a fish gravy when I tried to make up an egg roast. So I just ended up adding this tomato, right? So that's it. So we should know those tips and tricks to just make it work. So when we are stitching a curve, we shouldn't leave it plain. So wherever we are having those bends or curves, just cut the fabric, just put small slits. Okay, so on your seam allowance, so 1 inch extra fabric will be there, or 1 by 4 inch extra fabric will be there. So just give small slits to just make the curve comes perfect. Okay, so that is what you're supposed to do. So I will just demonstrate it in the next class so that you will get to understand it clearly. So it's already time for us to wind up the class. So bye-bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.